Hashem, the Torah that we learn and the mitzvot that hopefully will come out of it should be for the Refuah Shlema of Ruth Valda Bat Miriam. Hashem should send her Refuah Shlema b'toch shar cholei Yisrael b'karov v'simcha and all the promise should go to Sonei Yisrael. Amen v'amen. So, tonight we're going to discuss Bli Neder B'Siyad Shmaya, one of the most ancient philosophical discussions. Is hope rational? That's the question. I hope it's going to be good. Is that a rational thing, or is that some version of denial? Number two, is that intellectually honest, or is that just crazy? You hope based on what? On your mood, on your feelings, on your instincts? Can't be, because if you need the hope, that means that everything's working against you right now. So then the rational case should be that maybe it won't be so good. And this is not a new thing. Already close to 1700 years ago, in ancient philosophical scriptures, they battled this subject in very strong ways. And tonight, B'Siyad Shmaya, we're going to try and see what the Torah's approach on this subject is. And it directly blends into the parasha. Maybe we can learn a little piece in the parasha about the what we call Chet HaMeraglim, the sin of the spies, and from there to take it and see where we're going to go. The Torah says that Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, Shlach lecha anashim v'yaturu et eretz Canaan. Shlach lecha, send for you, meaning God told him, Rashi brings down, that lida'atcha, based on your understanding, your knowledge. And Hashem said, I don't see why you need the spies. But if you decided that you want the spies, so then there's free will. I can't stop you. So you could send them. Moshe Rabbeinu picks the premium of Am Yisrael, the best of the best, the Nesiim, the leaders of Klal Yisrael. And the Torah goes on to say each one by his name. We specify each one individually what his name is and who he is. If God thought that it was important enough to write somebody's name, Rav Tzadok HaKohen writes that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't talk about small people. We only talk about great people, either great tzaddikim or great rishaim. But the average person, there's no reason to make a whole discussion about it. So the fact that their names were mentioned means based on that it's a testimony from God that these were great people, and in this case they were great tzaddikim. Okay, Vayishlach otam Moshe latu et eretz Canaan. Obviously we skipped a whole lot of psukim. Moshe Rabbeinu sends them to go be spies to see the land of Canaan, and he gives them exact instructions. We're going to quote some of the instructions just to make an observation. Uriitem et haaretz, and you should see the land. Mahi, what it is, meaning what it's worth. Ve'et ha'am, and the nation hayoshev aleh, that's dwelling on it. Hechazaku, are they a strong nation? Herafeh, are they weak? Hame'at, are they a lot? Imrav, hame'at, are they few? Or Imrav, or are they a lot? Is it a big strong nation or a small weak nation? Uma'aretz, what's the land that they're dwelling on? Again, I'm skipping words here and there just to make this quicker. Hatovahi, is it a good land? Imra'a, or a bad land? Ma'arim, what's the cities? He really gives them a whole list of things that he wants, like a checklist. Go there, here's your list, check them off. Give me responses to all these questions. I need to know each one of these questions, what it is. Okay. They went. They listened to Moshe Rabbeinu's advice and they went. Moshe Rabbeinu knew that this might not work out so well. And the way he knew that was obviously number one from Nevuah, but number two because when God himself didn't really encourage it, just allowed it, then obviously there's a lot of room for error. It goes so far that Chazal say, Moshe Rabbeinu gave Yehoshua a blessing. He changed his name from Hoshea bin Nun to Yehoshua. Why did he change his name from Hoshea to Yehoshua? Because Yehoshua means Yah Yoshiacha me'atzat meraglim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should save you from the plot of the spies. That means Moshe Rabbeinu knew he was getting into a trap over here, but he had no choice. He had to do it for Am Yisrael. Kaleb ben Yefuneh, when he heard that Moshe Rabbeinu gave a blessing to Yehoshua, he realized, wait a second, so I didn't get that blessing, but that means that there's room for error. I don't want to fall into the trap. So what he chose to do to avoid the trap was, as soon as he got to Israel, he split from the other people and he went to pray. And this is the first source in Chazal that we go pray by Kivot Tzadikim B'Shat Tzara. He went to Marat HaMachpelah, to the grave of our grandfathers, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, to pray for the same exact thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should save him. And Tfilato Hitkabla, his prayer worked, because you see that he was saved from the whole situation. Pause. We learn from here Yisod that sometimes people in life are surrounded by an environment or by people or by things that aren't so conducive to their success. First and foremost, the most critical situation is if somebody has bad friends. It's that simple. We could say it in those words. Friends that for him aren't healthy. Now the people are not bad. Each person's good. Any human is a good person. But not everybody that's good is good for you. The person's great. We don't judge him. But for you, it's not good. To have a restroom in your house is great too. But to be there all day is not so normal. Same idea. Not everything that's good you have to do. Some things that, and even what has to be done because they are biological needs is within moderation. In society, it's the same way. All mankind's good. We don't judge anybody. Everybody's a great person. Some people do very bad things, but the person inside is a good person, Jew or none. But we have to choose in what environment do we want to be. Do we want to be around people that are confused, and therefore it'll affect us and we'll end up being confused? Or do we want to be around people that can be our role models, that can be stronger and better than us? If you pay attention, flies normally go to spoiled fruit, because a fly has no personality on its own. So they go to the weaker crowd, the spoiled ones. Humans won't buy spoiled fruit. They buy fresh, hard, crispy, ripe fruit. Because a human that has self-dignity looks to pick something that fits his criteria. But we want to see on a person where he's holding in life. It's very hard to see on a person because we're all great actors and actresses. But in English there's a very powerful saying. I don't know where it originates from, but there's so much truth to it. Tell me who your friends are and I'll clearly know who you are. Let me see what type of people you surround yourself with, and then I know exactly what you're attracted to, what your magnets are in life, where you go to. Fine? A guy told me recently, I said, one day I saw a boy, he's sitting b'chevrat anashim, and listen, on one hand it could be looked at as a tzaddik, and that's how he came to present himself to me. 5 guys, hanging out somewhere, sitting on a park bench, smoking something that's not cigarettes. Let's just say that, politically correct. So 4 out of 5 are doing it, and he's not. So when he saw me, he came over to tell me hello. He knows me, he's my friend. So I told him, what are you doing here? What are you wasting your time for? He said, I'm hanging out with my friends. I said, yeah, but your friends are violating a law on multiple fronts. There's a public park, they're using illegal substances. There are a lot of different laws that they're violating simultaneously. Why would you want to be around that? He says, what do you mean? Just the opposite. You should be proud of me. Look, I'm not doing it. I said, I'll tell you an interesting thing. So there was a while that I was a Rosh Yeshiva, a very short while, in a yeshiva in Israel. And one of the boys one day did something pretty insane. He stole a car, drove drunk, and got himself arrested. And now he has a DWI against him and theft of an automobile. And he was held in prison, and now we got to bail him out. Now, of course, I believe in second chances and third chances. There's no limit to chances because God gives us chances all day long. So I went to bail him out to see how we can rehabilitate his life. And in the car ride back to the dorm of the yeshiva, most Rashi yeshiva would have thrown out a boy like that. By me, you don't throw him out, just the opposite. He's the one who needs the yeshiva more than everybody else at that point. Because maybe that's what's going to save him. So in the car ride on the way home, I was talking to him on the way back to the dorm. And I told him, what's up with you? He said, what's the big deal? So I stole a car and I drove drunk. Now what? So I told him, you don't realize there's a problem? You see where you ended up. He said, no, just the opposite. Where I ended up affirmed to me that it's not such a big deal. Because everybody else that was there either shot somebody, beat somebody violently, tried to kill somebody, stole millions of dollars. I just stole a car, big deal. I said, oh, that's an interesting thing. So from now on in the yeshiva, anytime I try to speak to a boy that maybe he should do something a little better, he's going to tell me, I'll go hang out in a prison and suddenly I become a tzaddik. Chazal on that have a terminology. To be a tzaddik in Sdom is not a big deal. To be in Sodom and Gomorrah and say you're righteous, at that point, big deal. The chokhmah is to be a tzaddik bein tzaddikim, a righteous amongst the righteous. And that's why the first lesson that the Torah teaches us over here is that a person has to look to surround himself with those who are on a higher level than him spiritually, not vice versa. But we do have obligations in life, like going to work, and not always when we go to work can we choose our surroundings. Many times we work in environments that are a very far cry from the Torah values. Now, does that mean that somebody shouldn't go to work? No, God forbid, you have to go to work. So what do you do at that point? What's the eitzah? So the eitzah is very simple. Go pray. Take your tehillim and wet the pages every day. Hashem, help me. I have no choice because I need parnassa and this is where I have to be. Or I need a degree and therefore I have to be in a college, either amongst the universities of Goyim or amongst the universities of Jews that behave like Goyim, but one way or the other. And I'm not sure which one's worse. And but help me, save me. That it's all parnassa. I have no choice. Al pi halacha, I'm allowed to do this at this point. But at least save me that I shouldn't be influenced by my surroundings. Kalev established that for generations. When you're in a bind, that you have no choice, but you have to be somewhere, because he went al pi tzivui Moshe Rabbeinu and Hashem. But at the same time, you realize that maybe something doesn't smell right. There's only one thing that's going to help you at that point. Go pray. Pray to be saved. As parents, we have no way of controlling who our children will hang out with one day. Honestly, I wish there was a way to do that, because maybe we could save them from a lot of stupid mistakes along the way. But there is no way. We're in a very liberal society. Parents, I think I said this once, dads today, DAD is 3 letters. It's a parallel to another 3 letters, ATM. That's where it starts and ends. That's pretty much the role of a father. Give me this, give me that, I need this, I need that. The kid comes with his whole list of demands and you have to live by it. And if not, he goes to cry to a therapist that you're not a good parent. That's the way our kids are being raised today, more or less. At that point, the father's in a very tough spot. Does he have to play that role? Yes, that's the right thing to do, because that's what society dictates, and you can't be the outcast. But at the same time, what he can also do is stay an extra hour every morning in shul and cry to Hashem that Hashem should make a nes and save his kids, that his kids should be Talmidei Chachamim. Somebody went into the stipler, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, and told him that he wants a blessing for his son. And the stipler said, sure, what do you want a blessing for? So he said he wants a blessing that his kid should be a Yirei Shamayim and a Talmid Chacham. So the stipler told him like this: both brachot, both blessings, would be a birkat shav, a false blessing. So he says, why? He said, because Torah he's going to know based on how much Torah you're going to teach him. So that you don't need a blessing for. If you'll sit and learn with him, he'll know Torah. If you won't sit and learn with him, he'll be an amaretz. And Yirat Shamayim he'll have as much as his mother cries Friday afternoon when she lights candles. The more she cries by Adlakat Neilot that her kids should be v'zakeni, the banim talmidei chachamim, that's the way it'll come out. Nonetheless, then the stipler told him another thing. He said, and by the way, how old is your son? He said, 3 years old. He said, so why'd you only wake up to come now? You should have been doing this already from the day you found out that your wife was pregnant. You're too late in the game. You're light years ahead already. You missed out on 3.5 years, almost 4 years of tefillah. At least you should know for your future kids that the day your wife gets pregnant, it's time to already start davening and HaKadosh Baruch Hu should watch over them. Okay. Lima'aseh, what happened? They went, they did their job. If you look in the Torah, it says they did their job. Not only that, they even brought samples. Imagine you send your buyer in your company to go look at some item for you. And not only does he look at the item, he comes back with a sample. He's a superb employee at that point. He did beyond what he was required to do. But then they added in their commentaries. "Vayisapru lo vayamru banu el haaretz asher shalchtanu." We came to the land that you sent us. We did our job. V'gam zavat chalav udvashi. It's the land of milk and honey. They said really nice things about Israel. V'zehu pirya. V'zeh pirya, sorry. And this is its fruit. But then, how do you ruin everything? You know, there's a Chavetz Chaim that writes in Shmirat HaLashon that a person shouldn't talk about people. Not bad, obviously, because the 17 Yisurim don't like that. But not good either. Don't say anything. Why? He says, because you're going to start saying good about a person, and then there's another 3-letter word that comes in. He's an amazing guy, he's unbelievable, he's this, he's that. But, and something else. Comes to Chavetz Chaim and says, don't talk about anybody, period. Because mitoch, they're going to come to be misaper shivcho, you're going to say his strong points. You're also, aleinu, going to come to say chesrono, the weak spots, and at that point, stay away from the whole thing. Don't say anything at all. Unbelievable. So that's what they did. In Hebrew, there's another 3 word in the Torah. Efes, that means but. But, 3 words, Aleph, Beis, Samach. But you should know, what does Efes also mean in Hebrew? 0. A person who says but makes himself a 0, and anything good that he said before, 1 big 0. That's why in Lashon HaKodesh this word has more than one meaning. There's a very, very deep message over there. Ki az ha'am hayoshev ba'aretz, that the nation is strong/arrogant. Ve'arim betzurot, they have fortresses, V'gam yilidei ha'anak ra'inu sham, we saw the giants. Amaleki yoshev b'negev, and then they give this whole description of what they saw. The Jews hear this, and they start getting scared. So Kalev tries to control the situation. And what does Kalev tell him? Alo na'aleh, we're going to go up to Israel anyway. V'yarashnu otah, and we'll inherit it. Ki yachol nuchala, because we'll be able to succeed. Kalev tried to give them hope. That's what he did, right? They thought they were hopeless. Kalev tried to give them hope. That hope that he tried to give cost him his life, by the way. V'anashim asher alu imo, amru lo nuchal la'alot. The people that were there said, we won't succeed. Ela'am ki chazak hu mimenu, because the nation's stronger than us. And then the Torah says they spoke Lashon Hara about the land, and they said, "V'sham ra'inu et hanefilim b'nei hanak min hanefilim." We saw these big giants. V'nihi be'eineinu kechagavim, and we felt in our eyes like grasshoppers near there. V'chein hayinu be'eineihem, and so too we were in their eyes. If you remember our shiur about self-confidence, then we explained from the Alter from Slabotka that in his opinion this was the Chet HaMeraglim. It wasn't that they spoke bad about Israel, it was that they spoke bad about themselves. That they said, we felt small near somebody else. And a Jew is never allowed to feel small near somebody else. We always have to feel great. Fine. The outcome of this was a very sad tragedy. Am Yisrael went to sleep that night. They were bocheh b'chiyah shel chinam. They slept, they cried tears for no reason, meaning the wolf cry. And as a result, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave them a b'chiyah shel dorot. Tisha B'Av until today comes directly as a result of this story. Rav Zilberstein, in a sefer called Barchi Nafshi, in the volume on Chumash Shemot, I think, Kamdumani, he writes over there, he bases it on Mishnah Masechet Peah. I'm twisting it to over here. The Mishnah says in Masechet Peah, we've quoted this in many contexts over the years, amongst them and La'aleinu, some people who do something which is both against the law and the ethical code, and they park either in front of a fire hydrant or a handicap spot, even if it's for 30 seconds. So the Mishnah says in Masechet Peah, if somebody's not a chigel suma and so on, and he's not handicapped, and he makes himself as if he is, I mean, that's called parking in a handicapped spot, he's not going to pass away from the world until Aleinu Hashem's going to make him that. It's not worth it, right? You want to be handicapped? I don't think so. You want to have a fire in your house or in your office? I don't think so. Don't park in front of a fire hydrant, even for 1 second, and don't stop at a handicapped spot. Besides that, the level of chutzpah behind it knows no boundaries. These things were placed either to service those who have special needs, which are already in a tougher spot in life, or to service people in time of need, meaning in an emergency. Who are you to think that you're smarter than that?
What if you're in the car?
What?
What if you're in the car?
What's make a difference? Same idea. It's not your spot. It's like, what if I use your bank account together with you? I'll take your credit card, I'll swipe it, but you're there together with you. A handicap spot belongs to those who by law need it. Somebody once told me with pride, he got a hold of a handicap thing for his car, so now he can park anywhere. I said, Shaita, you're going to get a hold of a lot of medical bills in your life. That's what you're going to get a hold of. Well, what are you doing? The Mishnah says so. There's not a Sefer Musar, there's not a Kabbalah book, there's not... Rav Zilberstein then said a very strong thing. I know he said it once, we have to repeat it because I see that people are playing around with this a lot lately. He says a lot of times people need attention. And their way of getting attention is crying wolf. I have this problem, I have that problem. They create problems that don't exist. Comes Rav Zilberstein and says, you want to know why in 2017 every second person in the world suffers from depression? Because people act upset in order to gain attention. So Hashem makes them depressed. They should really be upset. That's a frightening thing. If you go and tell somebody, I was so scared, you know what you did to me? And it's not so, the world didn't come to an end, everything's alright. Hashem will give you reasons to be scared later on in life. When you make a drama scene out of what should be a very, very content, rational choice or situation, Hashem will give you reasons to be that way in life. Because that's what you're asking for. It's a person, people say, yeah, especially you guys, most of you are Bukharian, I think. Bukharians are very into, Sfardim as a whole, but definitely Bukharians, Ayin Hara, that's a big thing by you guys, right? You slaughter chickens when you come into houses, you do this, that. Thank God people don't slaughter their wives when they move into a house. I don't know what's coming next. Scared Ayin Hara. To make a wedding for $500,000, they're not scared Ayin Hara. To make a 3-year-old hiccup for a kid for $100,000, they're not scared Ayin Hara. But suddenly when it comes to moving into a house, I don't know what, he's scared Ayin Hara. Crazy. The Gemara says, Man lo kapti adadi. Somebody who's not makpi, there's no Ayin Hara on him. On the other hand, that Gemara doesn't make any sense, because the Gemara itself says that Chana prayed about her son Shmuel that he shouldn't be not too smart and not too weak and not too strong, not too strong, not too weak, not too smart, not too dumb, not too tall, not too short, and so on. Why? Rashi writes, Mishum Ayin Hara. She wanted him to be average, nothing beyond average. Because people are beyond average, they have eyes on them, and then there is Ayin Hara. And then the Gemara concludes, by the way, that of every 100 people that die in this world, 99 is Mishum Ayin Hara. So wait, make up your mind. Mandalo kapti adadi means if you don't believe in it, it won't affect you. On the other hand, 99 out of 100 do. So really it's not a contradiction. It could be 99 out of 100 are superstitious people. We are a superstitious nation. But I think it's a lot stronger than that. Mandalo kapti adadi means somebody who doesn't make an Ayin Hara on himself will be saved from Ayin Hara. And we are our own greatest enemy in life when it comes to this subject. Because in the morning we already predict that we'll have a bad day. That's another version of an Ayin Hara. The day before we predict that we hate our life. That was an Ayin Hara your entire life. Today, if somebody's struggling in dating or marriage, you know how many times a day, not a week, a day, I hear from boys and girls in their 20s, and they tell me, I don't think I'll ever get married. Why are you opening your mouth like that? Chazal say a person's not allowed to even say that he's sick. Today, a guy has little allergies, or a girl has little allergies. A friend calls in the morning, his friend goes, I'm dead sick. Shem Yerachem. What do you do? The Gemara says you can't even say you're a choleh. Don't even say it's like, even if you are sick, you can't say you're sick. Why? Because at that point you already made your own Ayin Hara. You dictated your own fate. Why would you do that? So you're your own enemy. So what? When a person does have to describe sometimes that he doesn't feel all right, so on that the poskim say, a person should say, he's not feeling at his best. Reasonable, that's a neutral. He's not sick, he's feeling at his best. Meaning when you minimize a circumstance that's going on, Hashem minimizes it for you. When you dramatize a circumstance, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you a very big gift. That's a real curse. That you'll have a reason to have a lot of drama. Hashem Yerachem. So they went, they made a drama scene. B'chiyah shel chinam, they cried. Why was it b'chinam? It wasn't chinam. The Jews were in a real, serious, stressful situation at that point. On one hand, God's telling them to go to Israel. On the other hand, here they're getting a testimony from their own spies that they're going to go to war and they'll all be dead. So of course, the easy way out is to say they should have had emunah and trusted God that He's going to fight their wars for them. That's true, but they were a weak nation that just came out of being persecuted and were slaves for 210 years. And that problem after problem, situation is the situation. They're entitled to suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. It's not so far-fetched to say that they have that. So, what's the big deal? The big deal is that their response in Shamayim was considered an over-response. Not everything in life needs tears. Not everything in life needs a drama scene. We have a problem, we have a situation. Okay, so now we'll discuss it rationally and see what to do. But from there to lights and sirens, that already is going too far. Even when lo aleinu, a person loses a parent, and I'm not talking about a parent that al pi halacha is not a parent because they never fulfill their duties as a parent. I'm talking about a parent that al pi halacha is a parent, which the criteria is 2 words: best friend. If a parent's a best friend, is a parent. If not al pi halacha, it's not a parent. That's what it says in Rashi. I know that some therapists think otherwise, but if I have to choose between them or Rashi, I'm always going to choose Rashi. Because if their chokhmah didn't come from Rashi, so I don't really care. Who cares where it came from? And that's Rashi's criteria. What's Av Reya, best friend? So a person lost his best friend, his father who's his best friend, lo aleinu. It's going to happen to all of us when they're 120, hopefully not a day before. But That's a tragedy, right? You know what Chazal say about that? And it's brought down in Shulchan Aruch. 3 days lebchiyah. That's the extent. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave a person an allowance, 3 days to cry. Crying more than 3 days over losing a father that's a best friend is already exaggerated. Because in Judaism, Hashem teaches us that our brains have to come first. Our emotions can't take over. Because if that person's emotions take over, from there everything spirals out of control and it goes downhill. In life, everybody has to ask themselves, do I feel before I think, or do I think before I feel? And if there is even the slightest suspicion that I feel before I think, you're on the road to hell. Because that's where your life's going to end up. And I don't mean some fire upstairs. I mean your day-to-day life ain't going to be a lot of fun. But if you think before you feel, your whole life is one big paradise. And tonight, Bli Neder will try and prove it both from the Torah and from other sources in Chazal. No, Am Yisrael paid a price. We lost all the men from 20 to 60 that were alive at that point, except for the last year, over the course of 40 years. We lost Moshe Rabbeinu coming into Israel with us, which would have gave us the temple right away, and Mashiach immediately. We would have never had suffering. Meaning, every tear that the Jewish nation ever shed, and we're a nation of suffering. Let's not go back too long in history because we may not relate to that so much. Just in the last 67 years, or 69 years actually to be more precise, in the state of Israel, we lost 23,000 and over 23,800 approximately, it's probably a little more, soldiers and people to either combat or acts of terror. Those are almost 24,000 families that were destroyed, in simple English. Right? Life will never be the same. A lot of tears shed, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. And us as Jews, when we hear a soldier was wounded, forget about died, even wounded, it's a big scar. It means something to us. We care. We definitely shed a tear for it. Comes like HaKadosh Baruch Hu and says, you know why this is happening? Because years ago, there were a few Jews in the Midbar that cried for no reason one day. And as a result, Moshe Rabbeinu didn't go into the Jews with Israel. The Jews had to wait 40 years to go into Israel, which was the cause of Moshe Rabbeinu not going in. The Beit HaMikdash wasn't built immediately. There's Hestel Panim, and all the suffering of Am Yisrael until today, meaning if something went wrong in your day today and you were in a bad mood, as a direct result of years ago, somebody feeling before they thought. That's how consequential this subject is. Now, hope. Is hope rational or not? If hope is rational, so then it's a thought. If it's a thought, so then adarabah, it's something that should be very encouraged. If hope is some version of an emotion, so then I don't know how much it should be encouraged, because what is it? So that's what we have to understand, and we're going to try and analyze from a Jewish perspective, not from the dictionary's perspective, what hope actually is. So now listen to this. Rabbi Yaakov Yagen says that the Mishnah says in Pirkei Avot, Perik Bet, I think it's Mishnah Dalet, in Pirkei Avot, Batel ritzoncha mipnei ritzono. That means nullify your will for the will of God. Kedei, in order, she yevatel ritzon achirim, that he should nullify the will of others, mipnei ritzoncha, for your will. Right. This is a very famous Mishnah. But we have to analyze it and understand what it says in it in order to come out with something nice tonight. Comes Rabbi and writes like this. If I have a will, how do I erase it? This is what I want. Can you tell me not to want something? I want to be a millionaire. I think they even have a song like that. We won't say the next few words because in a shul you can't. Yeah. You can make me not want to be a millionaire. I want to be a millionaire. This is what I want. I want to sit out in the sun, like paint my body in a darker skin tone. I think it'll look better. That's what I want. You can make me not want that. But tell it ritzoncha. You can't change what I want. This is what I want. Today's generation, it's even worse. Every guy thinks that whatever he decides he is, that's what he is. To me, it's the craziest idea ever, this whole concept. I don't feel like doing it. Tell somebody, do this, it's the right thing for you. I don't feel like it. I said, let me ask you something. Would you go get a heart surgery if you ever needed, God forbid, from somebody who never went to medical school, but he feels that he's a cardiologist? I feel I'm a doctor. I feel. No. Why not? Because he's not. I said, what does that mean? That what you feel makes no difference. It's what you are. So the facts are that this is what's right. You don't feel that connects with you? Huh? What should we do? Maybe go to a mechanic, they'll put new spark plugs, there'll be a better connection. I don't know. But that's the extent of it. I don't feel a connection with the Gemaras, so I don't go learn. The problem is not the Gemaras, right? Because that's God's book. The problem is you. So go, and sooner or later, hopefully you'll connect. And if not, maybe go to some spiritual healer that'll heal your connection with the Gemara. I don't feel a connection with this. I don't feel it. This became a joke already. That's the excuse for everything in life. Guess what? When I got up this morning, well, I didn't get up. I didn't go to sleep last night, to be honest. But when the morning came this morning, I didn't feel like doing anything. And therefore what? Nobody gave me that choice. Hashem didn't write. There's no Sivan in Shulchan Aruch that says, lead your day based on what your mood is. And there actually is a Sivan in Shulchan Aruch that hints to the fact that your mood exactly means nothing. That when you wake up in the morning, Shiviti Hashem lenegli tamid, the only thing that does make a difference is what Hashem wants you to do at that point. Comes to Mishnah and says, Batel ritzoncha mipnei ritzono. It doesn't say that you can erase your feeling. No, you're going to feel whatever you feel, and that's not going to change. But batel, put it aside, and say, yes, I feel A now, but I'm going to do B anyway, because what I feel makes no difference right now. Comes like Kodesh Baruch Hu and says, if you're going to do that, then he's going to be batel ritzon acherim mipnei ritzoncha. He's going to make it that life works out for you. But what you want in your life, you'll be able to accomplish because people will cooperate with you and with your desires. No. Obviously, if we were given a choice, all of us would have wanted to be born without a Yetzer Hara. I'm assuming, at least, I would hope. There is a Gemara in Masechet Brachot, Daf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, 17a. The Gemara says about Rabbi Alexandri that after he used to finish praying Shacharit, it says it's prayer. I think it means Shacharit. He would add on another prayer at the end, right? At the end of Amidah, you could add on all the prayers you want. So here's the prayer that he used to add on. There is a custom in some communities that it's even printed in the Sidurim, this prayer. We add it on every day. I don't know if in your Sidurim it is, but there are many Sidurim that I saw over the years that I like that. Ribon Olamim, Master of the world, Galui v'yadua lefanecha. It is known in front of you. Shiritzonenu la'asot ritzoncha. That our will is to do your will. Umi ma'akev. And what's holding us back from doing the will? Your will. Se'or sheba'isa v'shi'ibud malchuyot. Se'or sheba'isa is the Yetzer Hara, and shi'ibud malchuyot is the fact that we're in exile and influenced by our surroundings. What was that prayer? The prayer was that came Rabbi Alexandri and told us, we're just influenced with a very, very bad best friend. And his name is the Yetzer Hara. And that Yetzer Hara causes us to do all different absurd things along the way. That means be'etzem. A person wants to do the right thing. Elohim barat ha'adam yashar. Because Baruch Hu created a guy straight. He's logical, he's rational. Hashem created a person wanting to do the right thing. But there is a soul shabayisa that's makir. Batel ritzoncha mipnei ritzono doesn't mean batel ritzoncha. It means batel l'se'ol shabayisa. When you have an evil inclination inside that's telling you can't do it, or you have to be sad today, or this one did bad to you so now you want a revenge, or you have to talk bad about somebody because you're in a bad mood, or you want to be in a fight with somebody because you think that they should have done something different, you already dictated to the other person what your requirements from them are, and if they didn't play your tune, so now you're upset at them. I have a very good answer for everybody. Don't dictate to other people what they're obligated to do for you, because nobody owes you a thing in this world. It's such a good eitzah. Suddenly you love mankind, you love everybody, you have no fights with anybody. Nobody owes you anything. So sometimes people say, what do you mean? But you know what I did for him? So I tell them like this. If the reason why you did it was to get a return, so then you're just anyway a narcissistic, self-centered idiot. And if you didn't do it for that reason, who cares? Yeah, that's the truth. It might not be so easy to hear, but that's the truth. If you had an agenda, I'm going to do for you and he's going to do back to me. So then it's a barter system. Barter system is narcissistic people. That's a very big illness. The medical world has unbelievable treatment for it. It's called dialectical behavioral therapy, otherwise known as DBT. So go to a DBT group, they'll help you out to realize that the world doesn't revolve around you. And if that's not the reason why you did it, so you didn't do that. So what? Who cares? In parenting, this helps so much. Because a lot of parents fall into one of the most evil traps that exist, that they have an assumption that their kids owe them something. What do you mean? I carried him for 9 months. I diapered him for 2 years. I raised him. I taught him how to walk. I taught him how to speak. I paid for his school. I sent him to a yeshiva. In Queens. 20 grand a year. From preschool all the way through 12th grade. I put up with his nonsense at all hours of the day and the night. I got him a this. I bought him a that. I paid his bills. He can't even help in the house for 5 minutes. So if you did it in order for him or her to help in the house, so then you're not a parent in the first place. So then for sure he doesn't have to. And if you didn't do it for that, so then what's the problem? He's not helping in the house. It's a catch-22.
They claim
And it's so he doesn't appreciate, so what? Yeah, so he doesn't appreciate, so what? And if your kid doesn't appreciate, then you did a really bad job at parenting. If you would have been a good parent and showed an example of appreciation that you have to others, they would have learned to appreciate. So look in the mirror. And as a result, a parent's miserable. And now that he's miserable, who does he let it out on? On his kid. So what happens? Now the kid has to fight back. And this is a never-ending cycle. It killed everybody. And if for 1 second the guy would stop and think, my kids don't owe me a thing. Just the opposite, I owe them. Because I made the choice to bring them into the world, and I didn't give them the choice if they want to be in the world. Ever thought about that? Your mom didn't consult with you before you were born. Do you want to come into this world? Let me tell you what it's all about. She just let you know a fact. Congrats, you were born. She didn't ask you if you want to be born into a Jewish family either. Just happened to. So you weren't given that choice. She had the choice. And now you owe her. So now I'm not coming to go against Chas Shalom and Mitzvah of Kibud Avayim and that's, one day we'll talk to the young generation what Kibud Avayim means. It would be nice actually if we learned to respect our parents a little bit. It wouldn't be a bad idea. Because Chaim Kanievsky proves from a pasuk, if you look in Orchot Yosher, it says it over there in the Sefer, that the way you behave towards your parents is the way one day your kids are going to behave towards you. Good luck to a lot of today's teenagers. I think they'd be better off not getting married. That's what Chaim brings down in Orchot Yosher. It's an unbelievable thing. Many times in my life I wanted to have a little talk with my mother and tell her what I think about different subjects. And not because I have anything against her, I love her to death, but there are differences sometimes in life. And the first thing that held me back wasn't the mitzvah of Kibbutz Avayim, was this Reb Chaim Kanievsky. It should be the opposite, right? The mitzvah is what should hold me back. So am I crazy? And then I would call her and tell her everything I want my kids to tell me one day. You're the greatest mom that was ever born. I'm the luckiest kid. There was never anything like you. Selfish reasons. Nothing wrong with being selfish sometimes. But tel ritzoncha mipnei ritzono is advice that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving a person. But now let me tell you another pshat, and this has to do with this exact link of parents that we're talking about. If you're one who doesn't follow the guidelines of Shulchan Aruch, then for you to use the word Kibud Avayim is the most hypocritical thing that exists in the world. Because if you have no respect for your Father in heaven, that keeps you alive every second and gives you everything you have, literally, then why does your kid have to respect you? You taught him not to respect those who give you things. And that's why, by the way, the Ramah in Shulchan Aruch says, from Chalel Shabbat B'Faresi, the kids is not chayav in Kibud Avayim. For exactly this reason. If you're one who doesn't stick to the guidelines of Shulchan Aruch, don't expect your kids to ever respect you. Because you're teaching them not to respect. More than that, don't expect them to ever respect any form of authority, not just you. Any authority. Not school, not the law, not a police officer, not a judge, nobody. Because if you don't respect God, the ultimate authority, so then you set an example that authority means nothing. And at that point, why should they respect authority? And I see this day in, day out. day in, day out. Recently, a father came to me with his son, who's like 19 years old. They're going head-to-head about all 19-year-old subjects. It's normal. I wasn't so impressed. If anything, I was impressed in a good way, that they're only going on over 20 subjects, not 80 or 90, which normally would be at that age. And one of the subjects is the kid hangs out late at night and wherever places he goes. So I turned to the kid and I said, "You're a tzaddik." I said, "Obviously, right, something's bothering you. Tell me what's bothering you." He says, "Honestly, my father thinks I'm hanging out in these places. I just don't give him enough. I'm not willing to give him the satisfaction of telling him where I really am." Turns out he used to go learn at night, and despite his father, he would tell him he's going to some bar. That was the level of the relationship that they had. So I told him, "Where does this spite come from?" He says, "Because my father's a hypocrite." So I said, "Why is your father a hypocrite?" He said, "Me, he tells me not to go to the movies at night because I'm in the yeshiva and they don't let me go to the movies. But in his bedroom, he has a 72-inch screen." I said, "You're right, he is a hypocrite." I said, "One big, huge hypocrite. If he can have a screen, you can have it also." This is a Shulchan Aruch question. This is not an age question. So the parents all the time tell me, "What do you mean? Everything's age appropriate." Do you know any halacha in Shulchan Aruch that says when a person's 13, he doesn't have to keep Shabbat because that's not age appropriate? When he's 20, then he does, or vice versa. When he's 13, he has to keep Shabbat. When he's 20, he doesn't anymore because that's not age appropriate. You know any siman like that in Shulchan Aruch? I don't know. Marot asurot is asur for everybody. 13, 30, 120, same thing. So if the father has a TV in his bedroom, then he wants the kid not to go watch movies? How does that work? If the father goes to a show in Vegas and at night, who knows where he's hanging out, then he wants his son not to go at night to go partying? He taught him to do that. He was the one who set the example. So what does one father tell me, Berov Chutzpato? I never told my kids I do things like that. I said, that's the beauty of kids. Miyom shenechav Beit HaMikdash nitnan nevuah lashotim, God forbid, v'latinokot, and the kids. Kids are prophets. They know exactly what you do. They feel it. They know exactly what you're up to. They know exactly what's important to you. Exactly. I saw an amazing incident. It was Erev Rosh Hashanah over here in the synagogue. 10 minutes before Mincha, a boy who's maybe 17 years old, 16 or 17 years old he was at the time, comes over to me, sees me on the street. I was already walking to shul. And he tells me, "I want to give tzedakah. Here's an envelope distributed after the holiday for me." I said, "You're a kid. What do you have money to give tzedakah for?" So he says, "I worked in the summer, some sort of state program. I don't remember what it's called." What?
SYP.
SYP? Sounds good. I'm an SY. I don't know what the P is, but one way or the other. And he made whatever it is, a couple of bucks. And he wants to give charity. So I asked him how much he made, and I don't remember the number that he told me. But the reason why I asked him was I figured I want to see what percent of the money he's giving to charity. Well, I ran back to my in-law's house, left the envelope in the house. I didn't open it. After the holiday, I opened it. And I saw about 50% of what he told me he earned in the summer was in that envelope. A kid doesn't give 50% to charity. Adults, maybe we should. It wouldn't be a bad idea. But for a kid? And I know you're going to tell me what he means. The Gemara says you're not allowed to give more than 20%. So let me correct that stupidity for once and for all. Number one, in Shulchan Aruch it says somebody who has a comfortable living. So there's no such thing as 20% by him. It's kefit tzorech ha'aniyim. As long as there's poor people in the world, you still have to continue giving. Meaning you got to give forever. Number two, the Shlach Kadosh writes that if a person ever sinned in his life, and I'm sure you're all tzaddikim that never sin, but I'm not such a tzaddik, and I did sin in my life, then at that point when you give money, it rectifies your sins. So then you're just paying a kofer nefesh. Kofer nefesh, there's no limit in halacha. It's limitless. You would be allowed to give all your money away to tzedakah, ad kedei kach. Unbelievable. And I've witnessed once a Jew who was a very successful individual, who was Mechalel Shabbat, who through a class/seminar that I gave, decided to become a Shomer Shabbat. 3 weeks later, distributed all his money that he estimated that he made in any way, shape, or form, whether it was through not kosher financial transactions, or Shabbos, or this or that, to different institutions. I don't know if they were allowed to accept it or not. That's a separate question, but that's what he did, because he wanted no connection to anything that wasn't done 100% in the kosher way. Unbelievable. It's amazing that people in this generation could be on that level. So at that point, I went back and approached the kid, and I told him, listen, you're young, you don't understand what finance means. And therefore, it's Erev Rosh Hashanah, you were probably pretty emotional also, right? Yom Hadin and that. So you gave a very large percentage of what you earned to charity. Al Pi Halacha, for you, it's not right. You don't need to give so much money to charity and that. So I politely decline. I can't accept it. I can't distribute it to you. So he tells me, I spoke to my father before. My father said I'm allowed to. So if you have a problem with it, call my father. So I called his father. I told his father, what's going on over here? You know, we have to teach a kid financial responsibility and this and that. It's very nice to be a giver. And the father gets like livid on the phone. And he tells me, what do you want to do? Destroy everything I did my whole life? I said, what? He said, my entire life I taught my kids that whatever we have, we give away and we help others. And now a rabbi, in quotations, that he was right about, a lot of quotations, is going to come and destroy my entire chinuch in one sentence, telling my kid, you got to have financial responsibility. Are you crazy? Take it! So the kid didn't have to go to work in the first place. He was bored. He had nothing better to do. That's why he went to work. If he gave that money, I'll give him back 10 times that money. I don't care. I have money. That's not the subject now. The subject is that this kid saw at home that life revolves around being a giver. And if life revolved around being a giver, at that point to him, there was no questions. It was simple to him. It was in his DNA. And he didn't even think he was doing a big mitzvah. To him, it was a no-brainer. Now, I'm not saying halacha l'maaseh youngsters that earn barely make ends meet, obviously are not allowed to do things like that. But, because yes, financial responsibility is important. But I'm showing you the extent of the influence of the example that we see at home. Now, let's get a deep shot of what it means batel retzon Chag Pnei Retzono, and then we'll apply it to a new definition of what I think hope means. Comes the Baal Tenua. What?
What was the end result though?
What was the end result? The father insisted that I keep it and told me he was going to give his kid 10 times back. So based on those terms, I guess it was a good deal for the kid. I didn't want to ruin the kid's income. I think about it, right? He's making 10 for 1 on his money. That's a pretty good return. I wish I had returns like that on my money. Comes the Baal Tenua and says, Ani shamati, I heard, she'ein zeh ela derech kavod klapei mala. It's as a way of respect towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'hu ki'ilu katuv k'dei sheyifatel ritzono mitnei ritzoncha. Comes Rabbeinu Ovadia Baal Tenua and says a crazy chidush over here. That the Mishnah says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be mivatel ritzon acherim, the will of others for your will, doesn't mean the will of others. It means that if you're willing to make God's will your will, God's willing to make His will your will. If you're willing to make your will God's will, and God's will your will, God will make His will your will as well. And it's just not respect to say that God Kaviyachol is going to make His will your will. So therefore it says acherim, but it really doesn't mean acherim. It really means you. You hear what's going on over here? You want God to go listen to what you need in life, or what you think you need. Most of the time what we think we need actually is the worst thing for us. But you want God to listen to that, He'll listen to it. The day that you're willing to make His will your will. What does it mean? We all shomer Torah mitzvot, Baruch Hashem. So we all do that, right? We're all shomer Torah mitzvot. So let me tell you what it means. There's a Gemara Masechet Brachot Daf Nun Bet Daf Nun Aleph Amud Bet. Yeah, Daf Nun Aleph Amud Bet. The Gemara says in Masechet Brachot Nun Aleph Amud Bet there's a machloket, an argument, a discussion between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel. Right? They argue throughout the entire Talmud. But this argument is about an interesting subject. Let's say, I made a blessing before Sha'akol, I even drank a Revi. It's water, it's not something that has gas in it, soda or whatever. So, right, I'm stressing that, because on soda you wouldn't make borei nefashot if you're Sephardic. But on something that doesn't have, it's not carbonated, we do make borei nefashot. And you didn't know that? So you learned something new tonight. It's good we said that. Yeah, Sephardic Jews, we don't make borei nefashot, not on tea and not on soda. Because the derech, the way is to drink it sip by sip, not a melolu gma, 3.2 ounces in one shot. Even though I know today they call the sodas big gulps, But the way of the Torah was to take small sips, not big gulps. Therefore, something hot, you sip. It's even the expression is you sip tea. And something that's carbonated, you also sip. And at that point, you don't drink a shiur in the amount of time, like in one shot, and you don't make borei nefashot on it anymore. Ashkenaz Jewry, if they drink a shiur quick enough, so then they'll make it. By us, even if you did drink a shiur quick enough, you still won't make borei nefashot, because we say that being that the derech, the way of the world is not to do that, that you went and became an outcast doesn't make a difference. For example, if you had a cup of tea that was hot, and you got busy talking to a friend, then by the time you drank it, it wasn't hot. It was already cool, or warm, lukewarm. And you drank, and at that point you drank it in a big sip. So if you're Ashkenaz, you would make a borei nefashot on it. But if you're Sephardic, being that tea is supposed to be drank in a way that's sipped slowly, even though you did it otherwise, you're the minority. Batla da'ato etzel kol adam. You don't make borei nefashot on it. That's how far it goes. But let's say you made a blessing on something, you ate food, whatever, you do have to make a bracha achrona. You ate the shiur in the right time, you did everything right. You forgot. Happens, people forget. You left. I will stress, there are poskim that disagree with what I just said, but this is the halakha l'maaseh based on my understanding. So I can only teach what I understand. Obviously sourced by hundreds and hundreds of baggings. You forgot to make a bracha achrona. Could happen. Now you left. You're on the subway, you're on the way home. Oh my God, I didn't make a bracha achrona. Now what do we do? So I'm not going to talk about the halakha implications because there are variations depending what you were eating and how long went by. I'm just going to talk about the basis of the Gemara's argument. Beit Shammai says, Yachzor limkomo. Go back to the place that you came from. Get off the subway, turn around, go back, go say a bracha achrona. That's a great thing, by the way, because if you'll do it once, you'll never forget again afterwards. Beit Hillel says, no, we can't demand that of people. That's too much. Therefore, yivarech b'makom sheniskar. Say the blessing wherever you remembered. On the train now, say the blessing right there. Amru lahem. So the Gemara says, Beit Hillel Beit Shammai. Beit Hillel told Beit Shammai, Mishachal berosh habira. If the guy was on the top of a tower, then there were no elevators. That means he walked up a whole lot of steps to get to the top. V'shachach, and he forgot to make a bracha achrona. V'yaran, and he went down all the steps. V'lo birech, and he didn't say bracha achrona. Yachzor lerosh habira v'yivarech. Does he have to go back all the steps now to go say a bracha achrona? In other words, they were trying to say it's not realistic. That's demanding of some people something that they can't live up to. Imagine a guy he ate a piece of cake on the top of Mount Everest, and now he's back down on the bottom. Let's send him back up, right?
Yeah.
There was an Israeli guy who just climbed Mount Everest for the second time. Not sure what he was thinking. I think you learn from your mistakes once, right? Okay. What did they answer? Comes Beit Shammai and answered, Amula and Beit Shammai. Beit Shammai answered Beit Hillel, Lidivrechem, in your way of thinking, Mishashachach anak berosh habira. If somebody forgot a wallet with a lot of money on the top of a tower, Lo ya'aleh v'yitlena, he wouldn't go up to get his money. You left work. You're on the subway on the way home. You're one stop before your house. You stand up to get to the door of the subway and you realize you forgot your iPhone on your desk. What is the probability that you will be back in the office within 45 minutes? Panicking the whole way there. Probably 100%. Well, no, I'm talking about the generation that was born in 85 and later.
Oh, okay. I message on the back now. You can use it.
The whole way your heart's going to be, you need that soul to be near you. You shouldn't go into cardiac arrest. You don't even have to say money anymore. Just the phone. So you won't have your phone tonight. You'll actually have the first night of your life that'll be a normal life. What's wrong? No, can't do it.
No texting.
Comes Beit Shammai and tells Beit Hillel, if you say we can't trouble a person to go do something, that's undermining the value of people's value of mitzvot. Because that's saying that a person values a mitzvah less than $100. And that would be very sad. Now a person has to ask himself, and now a personal avodat Hashem, what's worth more, $100 or a mitzvah? How much effort would we make to make another $100? And $100 today barely buys you a steak and a glass of wine in a restaurant. It's not like it's that much money. And then would we make an identical effort to be a Talmid Chacham? And if not, I don't know. Something's going really wrong here. If Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel became less important than Benjamin Franklin, then what's left of Judaism? We're in some sort of stage of bankruptcy. Now let me tell you an amazing thing that I wish I didn't witness, and I'm saying this amazing in the negative way, not in the positive way. I normally don't attend functions of people. Not weddings, not bar mitzvahs, not this, not that, unless it's immediate family, brothers, and even that. My brother made a bris, I wasn't there. It's not like, I'm a busy man. My life is full, Baruch Hashem. I don't have extra time. And if I can save a life, I'll go to somebody's bris. So I think the baby also is interested that I should be saving a life in the meantime. On rare occasions, I break that rule, and there has to be a very, very, very solid case why. And the occasions can be counted probably on less than 2 hands. One of those occasions was recently. I went to a haircut of a child, a 3-year-old boy. They did him a haircut, which is not even Sephardic custom. I guess the parents wanted to make a party. This was a good reason to make a party. And I went. I will tell you what my incentive was. It wasn't the kid and it wasn't the parents. For all those reasons, I would have not done it. My incentive was that the father is a doctor. And he's a doctor that I utilize a lot for favors for people that are in medical situations that need advice or other things. And he does a lot for Am Yisrael. And at that point I felt that as one who uses him and abuses him all the time, he deserves the respect and the hakarat hatov that if he asked me a few times to show up to his event, I should go. He made a gorgeous event in some sort of museum or something like that in downtown Manhattan, near the Freedom Towers in that area. I was later on told that just to rent that place is $200,000. That's just for the hall. It's before you start the event. And this is for a 3-year-old's haircut. Very normal. I don't want to know what I hope for his sake, and I know he's going to listen to this, that his kid grows up okay, but if that was his 3-year-old birthday, what's going to be his bar mitzvah? What's going to be his wedding? We just set a bar that's impossible. Where's this going to go to? Maybe he's going to have a bar mitzvah on Mars. I hope they get there by then. Because I don't see how where do you go from there? Where's the next step? They gave him a haircut, each one did a snip, and the videos and the cameras posed for a picture. Everything I don't like in one night, but okay, you got to do what you got to do. Part of the job. And then they put on the kid tzitzit. When I came to put on the kid tzitzit, I was able to see that this tzitzit is machine-made strings. So not only isn't the kid going to be doing a mitzvah, he's going to be doing an avera of wearing a garment of dalet kanfot every second of the day. Because tzitzit are pasul lechatchila. And it would be better that he shouldn't put the tzitzit on. So I went to the father. I told him he probably didn't realize, but they sketched here. These tzitzit is a very, very good pair of tzitzit for Muslim boys to wear. But for Jews, it's not good. And therefore, it's not, it's better not. So he tells me, what about the picture? I said, what picture? The picture of the kid doing an avera? So tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning, I know a guy in Lakewood who ties tzitzit. I'll buy a beged, I'll buy kosher strings, we'll make your son new tzitzit. The guy's a really Reish Shamayim, special guy. Told me on the spot, thank you. See, it's good you came. I would have not known. The kid would have been wearing this tzitzit for years, this type of thing. I never knew there was a difference. I stuck to my word. The next morning I went, thank God I didn't even have to go get a guy to tie it special. I went to a store in Lakewood, they had it, ready-made, perfect. Of course it costs 3 or 4 times more the price, but you get what you pay for online. So I think it was like $20, $18, $20 a pair of tzitzit, instead of probably $4 that he paid. I called him from the store, I said, how many pairs do you want? He said 5 pairs. I sent it to him. I wanted the kid to get it right away because I was sure the mother's desperate for that picture. She has to post it on her Instagram, right? Otherwise she didn't make an event. So I sent an Uber from Lakewood to where he lives in the east side of Manhattan to bring him the tzitzit. The guy calls me and tells me, how much money did this Uber cost and did the tzitzit cost? I want to send you money. I didn't. I said, that was my choice. It's fine. Gift. Next. He says, no, I insist on paying. And then he used a good thing. He said, it's a mitzvah, I have to pay. I said, that he's right about, by the way. The Ari says if you don't pay for mitzvah, you got it for free, you already lost half the mitzvah on the spot. He said, paying shows the value of it, so that elevates the value so much more. And that's why, by the way, it says in the Sfarim, that when the Ari went to buy something for a mitzvah, let's say a lulav, he never went in, he never told the guy how much is it. He would open his wallet and he would tell the guy, take it. He didn't even want to know what it costs. Take whatever it is. Because the Ari writes that if a person negotiates a price on a mitzvah, then at that point it's not a mitzvah anymore. He lost the mitzvah. Because he belittled the mitzvah. He said that the mitzvah is not worth anything. So I told him the Uber, I don't know how much it costs. When it gets to you, then it'll show up on the credit card. And that definitely was a reckless move, so you for sure shouldn't pay for that. If you really want to know the mitzvah part, let's see what $18 I think a pair. And his natural response, without even realizing what he says, why so expensive? I paid 5 or 4 or something like that. And I told him, can we think back to yesterday for a second? Let's say it was $20 a pair, so it's $100 for 5 pairs of tzitzit. Your flowers on one table cost more than 5 times that. So for that you understood, it's a no-brainer to pay it. But for the tzitzit, why $20? So how does that make sense? When you go to a restaurant for dinner and spend $300, it's a no-brainer. Why not? I'm going out. But when you come to buy matzah and they tell you buy a more kosher matzah from a better place and it's going to cost you $35 a pound, you're like, why so expensive? That's crazy. I'm going to buy a Manischewitz matzah in ShopRite from last year on sale for 99 cents a pound. So what do you charge those Baruch? That for you a hanger steak is worth more than his mitzvot. That's not batel ritzoncha mipnei ritzono. That's just the opposite. That's you being batel his ratzon for what you want. You're willing to spend on. What he wants is not worth any money. I love when the boys, we tell them to buy new tefillin because the tefillins from their bar mitzvah, and I don't know if it's kosher even b'shinui. And the guy comes out of a Mercedes and tells you how much is the tefillin, and you tell him $1,700 or $1,600. He says, wow, that's a lot. I said, yeah, that's a half a month payment on your S-Class. What's the answer? His rims are more important than his tefillin. Just his rims are more important than his tefillin. He would get more upset over his rim getting scratched than over a day that he missed putting on film. That's not batel ritzoncha mipnei ritzono. That's, we got it all distorted. We got it all wrong. Comes the Gemara and says, Beit Shammai told Beit Hillel, my argument is not whether you're obligated or not. My argument is on the etzem concept. Why do you even consider this a torach, a bother, that the Chachamim didn't bother a person to go back? It's not a bother. And the proof is that for money you would go back. If he didn't go back for money, so then maybe we could say it's a bother. But for money he does go back. So that means it's not a bother. It means it's something that you want to do. Many times I have the dilemma of if to go somewhere or not that I was invited to. Guy invited me to his house or whatever, yeah. Chanukah Tabayit, this, all different things. And I'll tell you what measuring stick I use for that to determine if I should go. I'm talking about on the account of learning or something else productive. If I would have went to that event at the expense of losing $5,000, then I would consider going. But if it would mean that I would lose $5,000 by going and I wouldn't go because I wouldn't want to lose the $5,000, then the event is not important. My learning is worth at least $5,000. That much it's worth, at least that much. That I got from this Gemara. If that's the case, what comes out? It comes out a very morbid thought, but I don't like morbid things, so we're going to flip it into optimism. That maybe we have to reignite our vows with God and kind of heal our relationship with Him and realize that He knows what He's talking about. And when He told us what different things to do, He did it for a reason. It wasn't just because He was bored and wanted to write gossip or advice. It was because He actually wanted to give us some sort of measuring stick to live life by. How many times does it happen that a guy buys a house in Queens which over here to buy a shack is $800,000 or $900,000, and to buy a house is a lot more. And he just spent $1.5 million on his house. And when it comes to put up mezuzot, he goes to the store and asks for $35 mezuzot that were written by some Arab kid in a kasbah in Shechem. That's literal. They busted a few stories like that lately in the Rabbi. How does that make sense? One faucet in his bathroom costs more than the mezuzot in his whole house. When it comes up to Shamayim, what's going to be at that point? It's going to be so embarrassing. Hashem Yirachem. How many people put on tefillin when their Hermes belt costs more money than their tefillin? Their Ferragamo shoes cost more money than all their Jewish items that they own, probably. Crazy. How many women can open up a $5,000 bag and give an $18 donation to charity? Because all the money's gone. That's right. Doesn't make sense. We got it all wrong. Where are the priorities? Comes the Mishnah and gives us good advice. Analyze what's the source of the problem. And the Mishnah concludes this. You know what the source of the problem is? That you don't realize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's will is not different than your will. It is your will. Because without Him you're nothing, and with Him you're everything. You got it all wrong. And here I'm spending on myself. And therefore, Lo Aleinu, I love myself more than mitzvot, so I spend on myself more. When you spend on the mitzvah, that's when you're really spending on yourself. And that's why there was a minhag kasher that, of course, those of us who aren't wealthy can't live up to, that on the night of a person's wedding, he distributes to charity the same amount of money that he spent on the wedding. And the same thing with every other event. There are many, many Jews, thousands of them around the world that do this until today. Because the rationale was, if I had enough money to spend it on flowers, I have enough money to help poor people. And if I don't have enough money for both, then the poor people should come first. Because the flowers are dead after 4 hours. These are lives that have to be able to live. They weren't as fortunate as us. Let me tell you an amazing, amazing story. Somebody told us to me today on the phone when I was on the way here to the shir. I called him. He's a guy who has a lot of good stories. I said he deals with people all day, so as a result he has many good stories. I told him, I'm going to a shir in Queens. I need a story desperately. Give me something good. So he tells me, I'm going to tell you a mind-boggling story that happened in the past 48 hours. I said, what? So he's dealing with this couple that Lo Aleinu, Lo Alechem, we should never know, only on Sonei Yisrael. The woman was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Hashem Yirachem, only on Sonei Yisrael, no Jew should ever have to know. At that point, it's very limited what there is to do, and you know, he says, we put up the best fight we can. Doctor after doctor, place after place. We even flew the woman to Germany because they had some treatment over there that they don't have in the U.S. They went to very, very big extremes to fight for this woman's life. She's a young woman. He told me she's 32 years old, a mother of 3 children. That's the way he described it. He says there was a point that all doctors raised their hands. I said, we have nothing to do. We have nothing to do anymore. That's not an easy thing to hear. They wanted her to go to hospice. I said, at least alleviate the pain for whatever amount of days or weeks she has to live. When she came home that day, obviously she was heartbroken. This gentleman told me that he went together with this couple back to their house because he was scared to leave them alone because they were so broken. He didn't know how it's going to affect them and affect their kids. So he went with them to be there for them in their worst time. And when she got home, she pulled off her ring, or rings, I don't know. I don't remember if he said it in singular or plural. And whatever else she was wearing. And she told her husband like this, right now, all our funds in our life are gone. Because everything we had we spent on my medical fight. Not only that, we probably have debts too. So our credit's probably not that good to borrow money either. But the Gemara says that if somebody has a kilu aleinu sick, and he's a noder, neder l'tzedakah, he gives money to charity, neder gadol nadar le'elokei Yisrael. He's doing a great, great deed, a great thing that Hashem considers in Shemayim. He said, the things that are most dear to me is my wedding ring, my engagement ring, my bracelets, or other things that I got for my anniversaries, and for this and that. Take them, sell them, and give the money to charity. Maybe that mitzvah is going to help me out. And the husband tells us, he thought she lost her mind. You know, when she heard that what are you talking about? These are very personal things. You never give them up. And he even said, and if your case is I'm dying anyway, so I'm sure your daughter's going to want them one day, or at least to have them, to have something from her mother. He says, you're right. All your calculations I thought of. But the Gemara says, Neder Gadol Nadar Le'Elokei Yisrael. So if we had money in the bank, I would say, let's give a big amount of charity. But we don't have money. So this is the only thing we have. And the guy went to his Rav. And the Rav told him, if that's what your wife wants, she's considered al pi halacha, somebody who's, one step in Shamayim. And you have to listen to a person like that, even if it makes no sense. Go do it. And he did it. He went to a jeweler on 47th Street, and the guy didn't give him the price of the gold or, round it off. He gave him the max value that he thought he'd be able to resell it for without losing money. And the gentleman took the money and gave it to Tzedakah. And this guy tells me on the phone on my way here now, 5 weeks later, her sickness disappeared like it never was. She's a healthy woman. Neder Gadol Nadar Le'Elokei Yisrael. The natural instinct, a woman's best friend is diamonds, and definitely the diamond ring that she got from the person that she loves most. But when somebody was willing to go to such an extreme, to give everything that's important to them, just for the sake of helping another Jew, because Baruch Hu says, even if in Shamayim there was a Gzeirah lo aleinu that the person should pass away, he's going to flip it over. Because he's going to be Mbatel Ritzo. No! His will, Ipnei Ritzoncha. It says Ritzon Achirim, but it really means Ritzono, as we said from the Baltimore. If that's the case, then what really counts in life is what God's will is. And now let me tell you something that emotionally is not going to sit well with you, but intellectually maybe will. If you're having a hard day, that's the Ratzon Hashem right now. That's what Kosh Baruch Hu wants from you right now. You should have a hard day and you should fight. And you shouldn't give in. If you're having a hard week, that's the Ratzon Hashem right now. It's a test that He wants you to pass. So at that point, it's not a hard day. At that point, this is God's master plan for me for today. It may be a little challenging, maybe a little uncomfortable, but that's where it ends. And if we don't think like that, then that means we're feeling before we're thinking. And when you feel before you think, then at that point everything goes down the drain. Nobody has it easy. Everybody has their bag in life. One with health, one with panosa, one with chinuch, one with shalom bayit, one with getting married, one with having kids, one with this, one with that. There's no end. There's no end. I met a gentleman in Canada this week when I was in Tush that I was a little bit blown away. I knew he was very involved with helping out sick kids. Very involved. And in Canada. And I don't know anything about the Canadian end of it. In the US I do a lot in that area, but in the Canadian end I don't know anything. So I wanted to see what they do in Canada, to match notes with them. If they send everybody to New York, what they do. And I was randomly chatting with him. We actually went to have a burger together. And at the end I told him before we left, I didn't know him personally, I just knew his name, because it's a very famous name. And we've spoken on the phone a few times. And at the end I told him, Hashem should help, you should be matzliach in everything you do. And we should never need to know with our kids these problems. I meant it as a very warm, loving blessing. And the guy turns to me and says, Amen, Hashem should help, one day I should have kids that I should never know. His wife and his life, 24 hours a day, revolves around helping Jewish kids that are in pediatric ICU. That means newborns. And this guy's married for 16 years and doesn't have children. How brave could a person be to save everybody else's kids when he doesn't have a child of his own? It's in his face all day, every day, kids being born. I'm saying over the story because I had the shock of my life. I didn't know where to bury myself. I was hoping to be like Korach, to just fall into the ground and disappear. I didn't know what to do. I was gone. He killed me. But I said in my heart afterwards, I said, maybe the favor I'll do without saying his name, because he warned me not to say his name, is that I'll say over the story that if one Jew somewhere in the world would get one drop of chizuk in this, from this, that should be a schus. Hashem should help you to still have a big family. You know what that means? Batel ritzoncha mipnei ritzono. There's a man who wakes up every morning and says, the Ratzon Hashem for me is not to have kids right now. And maybe the whole reason why Hashem doesn't want me to have kids is I should be able to save so many other hundreds of kids. And if I'll have kids, I'll be busy with my own and I won't care about others. Maybe that's why. I don't know if that's why. I'm not God's spokesman. Maybe that's the reason. So at that point, it's not hard for him. Because that's the Ratzon Hashem for today. This is easier said than done. I'm not in denial. But let me tell you, there's no other way to survive life, so let's do it. You have a better option of how to survive life? I don't. Because life brings a lot of challenges every day. But if we can limit things to circumstances, as opposed to pain and bad moods and anger and frustration, then circumstances in general, we know how to navigate. This is the current circumstance, because this is the Ratzon Hashem. So, is hope irrational? Yes. But in the Jewish perspective, you don't need hope. Because there is no issue. You need hope when something's bad. There's nothing bad. Hope based on what? It'll be good. I love when people see somebody dying in a hospital and tell them, it's going to be good. What's going to be good? He's going to be dead. That's what's going to be good. What good? That's just a false statements based on nothing. But if the Ratzon Hashem is that the person should go through this test, so now it's good already. And whatever the result is good. Either it'll be good in the way that we would like it to be, maybe, as family members, that the person will be well. Or it'll be good, that Hashem will take the person close to Him, and what could be better for a person than to be closer to Hashem? And I'm not saying that in an arrogant way. I'm saying that as one who lost family members. Who lost a younger brother that was my chavrusa for many years. Who lost 5 uncles and aunts in 2 years at young ages, all from cancer except for one. I dealt with tragedy and with suffering to its face. I had 11 friends when we were volunteering in the Israeli army. We were 14. 14 of us went into some area for a medical evacuation, came under sniper fire, and 11 of us didn't come out. And I was a young American kid who wasn't even obligated in military duty. This was just a voluntary service that I was doing for whatever reasons that I had at that point to do it for that period of time. I wasn't even considered a soldier or anything. I was just a medic. That's all I was. And that's at a very young age when I was faced with the questions of why? How is it fair? Why did he die, not me? My mom has 11 kids. His mom this is the only child. And many, many other things like that. You know what it is to attend 11 of your friends that you sleep with at night, that you do everything together with, funerals, in less than 24 hours? You should never know what that means. But as I grew older and wiser, I realized one thing. That if God was able to create the world in 6 days and keep the world running the way it's running until today, then when you see a tree, you see God. When you see the water, you see God. When you see sand, you see God. When you see the size, you see God. Everywhere you turn in your life, all you see is God. The nature is screaming. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's here everywhere. Nature is yelling. God's here everywhere. So if God was able to create the tree and keep it alive, and create the grass and keep it growing, and create everything else, you don't think He has a plan? Everything He did by chance? I don't think so. That wouldn't make sense. You can put somebody in an insane asylum for thinking that way. So obviously He has a very, very, very exact calculated plan. And that's not high levels of emunah, that's simple rationale, when you cut the emotion out first. So yeah, today's uncomfortable. I've had many uncomfortable days in my life. I'm openly say I wake up on the left side of the bed every day. And then I think for 30 seconds and I say, now, do you want to live a normal life or do you want to be an idiot? And I start my day. Because an idiot I try not to be. Not much I try not to be. That's a rational choice. Emotional choices, good luck. There's no end to emotional choices, right? But we grew up in the Western civilization that everything's emotional. We go to movies and cry. They broke up. Some actor that got paid $50 million to be in a dumb screenplay makes us cry. It was so sad. What was so sad? That he has $50 million and you don't. That's the only part that's sad. Nothing else about it sad. So that means we don't think. There's nothing rational to us. It's just, yeah, I feel. Fine, good luck with feelings. It's a great thing to do, but I don't know where it's going to get you in life. And where you should feel, when you read Tehillim, you see David HaMelech's life story, how he cries it through Tehillim, how he praises God through his greatest suffering, how in the middle of Megillat Eicha we say, Chazdei Hashem ki lo tamu ki lo chalu v'chamav, when in the midst of the hell, in the midst of the death of Am Yisrael, when blood is flowing through the streets of Jerusalem like a river, Chazdei Hashem, the kindness of God, ki lo tamu, that never ends, ki lo chalu v'chamav, because he's the God of mercy that lives on forever. Dafka in those times, a person's tested if he has any relationship with Hashem or not. If you live that way, you don't need hope. Because every day is hope. You are the hope. And a person is where his thoughts are. So how good or bad your life will be wherever your thoughts will end up being. If your thoughts will be in a good place, your life will be great. Not because the technicalities will be. Could be the technicalities will all be terrible. Or at least what seems to others is terrible. But your life, the real part of life, how you feel, how you function, how you operate, and what you accomplish will be amazing. I have more than one friend by now that Elaine Hashem should never test anybody with this, lost their jobs in the past few years. A few of them aren't in the best states. Others are doing unbelievably. You know what the difference is? Some of them went to Kollel. So I'm not working anyway, I may as well go learn. They're loving life. They're becoming such Talmidei Chachamim that they don't believe how they didn't do this so many years ago. And other people aren't doing that. And I don't know what they're doing instead. So is it any different for this one or that one? They both have collection agencies calling. They both have banks wanting to foreclose on their house. They both have all different other problems as a result and stresses as a result. Just one is using their spare time for something productive, and at that point the satisfaction of being a productive member of society outweighs all suffering. And the other isn't. A woman, well, I wish I remembered her name, I'm just not so good with names, but I'm sure you can find this on a simple Google search, who ran a very, very large organization. Recently she retired because of health reasons in Israel, that helps families of soldiers that were killed in combat. Once shared in a dinner that I attended over here in New York. They were doing some fundraising for these families. Her own story, what brought her to do this. She had an only child who died in combat. And by his funeral, she had to make a choice. Do I want to be the miserable mom who lost her child under tragic circumstances? Or do I want to turn my suffering into something productive? And that's when she opened the organization, by her son's funeral. And for many, many years, she helped thousands of people. Hashem should help. Nobody should ever need this help anymore in Israel. Our soldiers should come home safe. We shouldn't have wars anymore. And they should always have the upper hand whenever there is combat. And the upper hand, according to the Jewish perspective, is that not one soldier even scratches his leg. Forget about injuries or anything else. Let's convert every circumstance that we have in life into something that can benefit ourselves first by understanding that alone, that we're in this circumstance, is a great benefit. And we don't have problems, Baruch Hashem. Life is amazing. We have circumstances and we'll grow from them. And into something that can later on help so many more people. Because Baruch should help, but at that point, that's the ultimate batil ritzon chamik nei ritzon. You understand? Your will doesn't exist. If your will is not Hashem's will, then what is it anyway? And at that point, there's no reason to test you anymore. So your life becomes technically much easier, and the circumstances become what superficially we call so much better. And that's good, Be'ezer Hashem. Everybody, the person that we mentioned, it's a lady that I have a lot of hakarat tov to. Amen.